CNN just can't admit when Bernie Sanders is having a good day or a good poll. Recently, you have a new poll here out by CNN in New Hampshire, where Bernie Sanders has taken, in recent days, a commanding lead. Now, this is following the heart attack. This is following the poll performance and, the debate performance, and also the numerous endorsements from Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Alexandra Ocasio Cortez. So now you wouldn't know Bernie Sanders is doing incredibly well if you only look at some of the headlines on CNN. Now, according to the most recent New Hampshire survey, Bernie Sanders is now leading at 21%. So now it's a rise of about 2 points since July, and is now a 3 point lead over Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is currently at 18%. So now this follows a precipitous drop for Joe Biden in New Hampshire. Now, Joe Biden, since July, has lost 9 percentage points. Yikes. Now, the result of this, of course, is here you have two progressives, one arguably way more progressive than the other, but two people who have fairly good plans. Bernie Sanders, of course, has the best, the most boldest progressive vision, that are leading in New Hampshire, one of the very key states in early voting, right, in the primary, and Joe Biden falling like a rock. So now the results here, by the way, do have a margin of error of plus or minus 4 percentage points. So look, you could have Sanders that it's tied with Warren. You could have Sanders ahead of Warren. You could have Warren ahead of Sanders. But in no way could Joe Biden be leading the field anymore, or even in number two. Biden, distant third. Even in the best scenario for him, still in third, right? And those are facts. And we're fair on this show. And we point out that, hey, look, you could have something different. Maybe Bernie Sanders isn't quite in the lead, but it's really, really close. Now, the big headline here should be progressives top Biden. Instead, you have headlines like this: Buttigieg in fourth, but a strong fourth. Buttigieg. Now wait a minute. Look, yes, is Buttigieg in fourth place, according to this poll? He is. Yes, those are facts, right? Now, Buttigieg is actually polling at a respectable 10%, right? But at the same time, Buttigieg has had no change in his polling in New Hampshire since July. So he is stagnant. He is stuck in fourth place. Now, that could be good. It could be bad, right? Because for example, you saw Kamala Harris, who after her debate performance with against Tulsi Gabbard, actually had fell precipitously. And so you've got people like Buttigieg that are taking advantage of that. But again, he hasn't really moved in this New Hampshire poll. Now imagine, for example, if Bernie Sanders were stuck at fourth with zero movement. Consider the headlines, right? Sanders stagnant, should drop out. Sanders movement fizzles. I mean, I'd come up with these all day, right? Instead, he comes in first in this poll. And yet, here you have barely a mention in these headlines, right? Now, one of the mentions is, and this is about the best that you can get, Sanders and Warren sit at top in New Hampshire, but no clear front runner. No clear front runner. I don't know about that. Again, you could even say that Elizabeth Warren is a front runner, and you would be kind of correct because she's actually been doing really, really well in a lot of these early state polls. Sometimes overtaking Bernie, sometimes tying with Bernie and Biden. And so Elizabeth Warren's doing incredibly well. And again, those are just facts, right? But CNN says no clear front runner. By the way, Buttigieg, strong fourth. Right. More headlines. And this is actually more fair as well. Disappointing poll for Biden. Okay, I'll take that one, right? Um, and here's another one. Early state primary voters much more undecided than voters nationally. Okay. So, again, Bernie Sanders winning this poll, right? Now, CNN looks at that and says the voters must be undecided because here we have Bernie Sanders. But who in their right mind would vote for Bernie Sanders, they think? Well, I mean, he's angry and it says the same thing. And he talks about policy and he's old and he just had a heart attack. Who would vote for him? They must be undecided. Now, look, to be fair, in the poll, about 23% of New Hampshire voters definitely know who they're going to support. And so there is time, of course, for more people to gain more support in the field. Okay. Again, we're being incredibly fair, right? But I think I think CNN, some of these pundits, had the bias of no, they're undecided because right now they're letting progressives win. Why aren't they choosing people like Buttigieg? He's in a strong fourth. No, don't pay attention to these polls. Too early. And finally, I love this one. It's my favorite. This is a historically unprecedented New Hampshire mess. Real headline from CNN. I wonder why the writers would consider this poll a mess. Every other poll, like I said, where Bernie is second, third, or even fourth, which I don't think he's had a poll where he's fourth, but nonetheless, they can't stop talking about how Bernie Sanders is done. No momentum, failing, slipping, not going to make it, should drop out now. But when, again, he polls well and is even in a third-way tie with Biden and Warren, they ignore it and they focus on people like, again, not to pick on him, but Buttigieg. Strong fourth. I can't get over that. And now they also do these graphics where they appear to be having a hard time trying to consider what is top tier, right? So let me go to that because this is fascinating. So here we go. Take a look at that. All right, so no, that's a fair graphic, right? You see Sanders 21, Warren 18, the results of this poll. Top tier, you see next to them, right? Wonderful. Okay, so that's incredibly fair. But right after they have this graphic, they put this up. Top tier, Biden, Warren. Same. Wait. Sanders is 21, same percentage, but Biden, Warren, 22. Sanders apparently is not top tier. 1 point, top tier. I mean, again, that's the bias, right? It's misleading. And if you don't believe that there's a bias against Bernie Sanders in the media, I'm not sure how much more obvious CNN can make it. But see, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that just don't pay attention as much to politics. And so they don't catch this. They don't understand that CNN does have a bias, that establishment media does have a bias. They only see a couple of polls here and there, and some maybe one of those misleading graphics in between their shifts, or when they get home, or when they are changing the channels, or whatever. And so they don't pay attention and see these kinds of trends. Whereas you have to really kind of study it, you have to look at it, you have to follow it intensely to see that there is this bias against Bernie Sanders, against progressives. But look, and it's the reason, of course, is they despise Bernie Sanders and they want to dismiss him. They really do. They want to downplay his chances. And if they could get away with it, I believe they would want to ignore him completely. Thankfully, Bernie Sanders does have independent media, which, will, I wouldn't say necessarily back him, but will tell the truth and give honest coverage to his campaign, whether or not, he does really well in a poll or does poorly in polls, because we care about facts here. Our agenda is only one thing, and that's to tell the truth and to give the coverage to the candidates that they deserve. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.